You always complain about stuff. What's your options? There's two options that I think I could fix this country overnight. If you tie politicians' pay to our country making a surplus every single month.
Incentivization.
So, and I'm talking no one gets paid unless Australia doesn't make a profit every single month. And out of that profit, if they don't pay off our debt, not just the interest, pay off the debt, then no one gets paid. Watch the government overnight have meetings, emergency meetings. They'll cut a whole bunch of departments that do absolutely nothing for this country. They'll probably go back to burning coal and gas because it's the cheapest form of energy. They'll drop the green energy scam, and they'll actually run this country like a business. Because we're not in a cost of living crisis. This is when everyone says we're in a cost of government crisis. That's what we're in, right? And they're trying to prop up these fake economy by mass immigration, programs like NDIS, right? It's costing us $50 billion a year, stuff like this. All this stuff is just completely bloated because they are on life support with the economy. So if you tie politicians' pay to a surplus in the economy, watch the country fix itself practically within a few months.
And reward them greatly if they achieve those targets, right?
As they should be.
Give them much more than what they're currently earning. Pay them like executives.
And then the second point would be ban foreign lobbying, domestic and ban all lobbying. And if they get caught doing it, you sit in jail for a 10-year sentence. Because then watch all the politicians have an Australian first attitude.
So for those of the audience that don't understand politics a lot, what do you mean by lobbying? What is lobbying? What do you mean by that?
So let's take the oil and gas industry, right? Because everyone loves to pick on them. Actually, no, let's take the green energy sector because no one picks on them. So someone like Julia Gillard, right? She has HMC Capital Firm, which is like a green investment firm, which surprisingly, Chris Bowen funnels his subsidies to her, and then she actually flips green energy farms and then makes profits off it. All legal, by the way. You can check this up. It actually happened. But let's pick on her firm. So she will pay someone from her business to be a lobbyist, and they'll pay $2,500 a year to get into Parliament House. With that pass, that green energy lobbyist, on behalf of Julia Gillard's HMC firm, can walk directly into Chris Bowen's office and have a conversation with them behind closed doors. They can also walk out and walk straight into the bureaucrat's office, which are the people that actually write the laws for the country, and do everything, and they can have a conversation with them. Do you not think like they're walking in there with a brown paper bag?
Well, Andy Schindler, who we had on, was saying things about the big four, the consultants, KPMG, Deloitte, etc., are one of the biggest lobbyists as well, aren't they? So, and hard to.
And then you get foreign lobbyists. You know, like you get AJAC as well, which is Australia Israel Jewish Association Committee. Like, why are we letting a foreign country lobby to our people? It's like, no. The only chatter they should be having is like defense minister to defense minister, you know, or someone like that. We should not be letting a lobbyist walk into just regular parliament members and lobbying on behalf of another country. It makes me sick.
You have a pretty amazing following, and you're getting a heap of traction lately with the things you're saying. So I think a lot of people in Australia agree with you, and we agree with a lot of things that you say as well. But would you agree that the majority of Australians are pretty either oblivious or happy with the way things are going because they keep voting in the incumbents by such large margins? And the more and more people that are dependent on government for their income, which is it's something like 50%, like government jobs, NDIS, welfare, the works, something like 50% are dependent on government, that the more and more people become complacent. What's the message that you would have to those people? And then we'll talk about the message to the people that agree with you and know what's going on later.
Oh, to the people that don't agree with me.
Yeah, well, not even the people that don't agree, but maybe the people that are at home, oblivious, unsure, you know, the kind of people that were happy to go into lockdown and, you know,
conform
and get the paycheck, conform to the vaccines, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, stop watching TV. You know, because that's where, you know,
is that our problem? Like, rather than rallying the right-leaning side of the debate to create a culture movement, do we need to go back and is there something we can say to the left side of the debate to kind of wake them up to what's going on? Because it doesn't seem like...
Well, look what's happened over in the UK, right? Nigel Farage. he started his Reform Party. But what did he start with? A network, right? So he could get on TV, because most of the people that you'd need to talk to are on TV, right? There's still, I know, like, social media has gone completely nuts lately, but there's still a lot of Australians out there that watch TV. And the last time I turned on a TV, Chris Bowen came out with some report saying that sea levels are going to rise X amount in X amount of years. And it's like, well, why did Anthony Albanese just drop $4 million on a seafront place? It's like, you're not even believing the own words that you're telling us. But people consume this stuff, and they think that the green energy sector is going to be, is going to change the world. When realistically, what are we, like under 1%? If we reach our net zero targets, nothing will change, because China will just keep increasing.
Yeah, the rest of the world will make up for it.
Nothing changes. And like everyone tells me, climate change doesn't have borders. So it doesn't matter if we burn coal and gas in Brisbane or Beijing. It's the same atmosphere, the same sky, right? We are in a one world where we all share all the same emissions. And when when you talk about this stuff, it's like, what are these people consuming, and where are they getting their information from?
And this is one big distraction. Look over here.
Exactly right.
This is what's going on over here.
I mean,
Exactly.
People have been distracted for forever, right? Like, most of the people, right, are in positions of fight or flight every day, every week, putting food on the table, and it's becoming harder and harder. And then they're in the rat race of life, right? So whatever somebody tells them, and if they tell them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, eventually you're just going to actually believe it. But people aren't putting enough, like people, like I look at myself as an example, right? Entrepreneur, I've had some success, yes. But have I sat there for hours upon hours upon hours over my life of the last, 20 odd years of having any interest in business, and sat there and really understood the political landscape of Canada or the political landscape of Australia? Not really, to be quite honest with you, right? Like, some people have that passion, like you, for instance, have a deeper passion. And that's why I asked that question earlier. How much does it relate back to being in the army and fight? And he said it, because I didn't put my life on the line to fight for the Australia of what it is today. But it was hence the passion. If he doesn't go to the army, right, Sam Bamford might be doing something else. Do you know what I mean? Like, in that, it's the experiences of the pain that people go through. But I think most people are just content in their own little world, and they don't educate themselves enough on how they can better it, because it's like, oh, but I'm only one vote. How many times have you heard of people, are you voting? Nah.
But it was never,
I can't make a change anyways.
It was never that important, right? Like, if you look at social media today, you would argue that social media is the number one vehicle for alternative political view, right? If you go back and watch the movie The Social Network, right, the Facebook movie, I think it was 2012, the movie came out. There's not one political mention in the movie, the whole movie. That's weird. If today the majority of things that you see on politics, the podcasts that we produce that have the most views are political podcasts, why in 2012 was it a non-issue? We've gone from a world, a Western world, will I say, if it's not the whole world, that was controlled by federal and central banks, etc., that now is a populist. It's a populist regime. The political leaders of today actually now have more control over money and spending and these decisions, because that's where we are in the 80-year debt cycle, right? So now it's becoming forefront. But still, even though it's in the forefront and these alternative political views are common, you still have people in Victoria, which I think is the poster child, voting in Dan Andrews for a second term in support of Jacinta Allen. Now, as someone who understands politics and entrepreneurship and the state of play a little bit, I think that's like the height of stupidity to do that, to continue to support people who are suppressing us and who are making it more difficult for small businesses to rise up, which and competition amongst banks and things like that, which makes a society more healthy as a whole. So I keep asking the same question: how do we get those people to wake up, to pay attention? Is it that we just don't have access to them? Because, like you said, they're watching Channel 7 News, and we just don't have access.
Yeah.
Or do we just keep, do we just keep fighting? Do we just keep fighting the fight that we're fighting, and it's noble, and we're getting views and we're building following. But until we start to partner with individuals who can then go into government and make a difference, is it futile? Is it in vain? I'll probably get smashed in the comments saying, Mark, shut the fuck up. We've got to fight. We've got to march. We've got to do this. Because I've said in the past, maybe it's not the best idea to march. Maybe things are so fucked that you'd be better off just working out how you can take some of your paycheck, put it into gold, put it into Bitcoin, and look after your family, right? But I don't want to believe that it's futile. I don't want to lose hope. But I'm trying to push forward and say, well, how do we partner with?
And then you got the likes of Topher Field. He's been on twice, and the first time round was, yep.
Who's Topher Field?
He's libertarian.
Okay.
Yeah, and you've got quite a.
You want to get him on your podcast?
Yeah, we might do an intro.
Yeah. And the first time round, he was sort of fairly patriotic, and the second time, it was a 6 month gap between we had him on. And we asked him, is he going to be, staying on shore? And he was saying, no, I'm going to get my second passport and piss off. Firstly, the first point was, it was like, you're going down with the ship. Yeah, I am. And he goes, now it's pretty hard to when people are kicking the holes in it on the ship. Yeah. So
it's the same thing, right? Like you got Ross Cameron, who was on the podcast, right? Who worked under Peter Costello when he was treasurer under the John Howard government. And I was like, what's some advice that you would give Australians today?
Yeah, so that's the question, right? Like Topher Field, who was like all Australian, help everyone, doing exactly what you guys are doing as well, is now saying, like you just said before, you got mates that are thinking of leaving. Every time we come on a podcast, we're talking about leaving. And I've pushed back on that lately because, we might all be getting to the point where we've got the mobility to do that. But the average Australian that's clicking on and liking our videos doesn't have that mobility. So what is our message for the average Australian then if we can't touch the people that are ignoring us?
Yep.
From the life that you've been through, the life of discipline, a life of values, I can see, looking at your story, I can see you're a family man first. Regardless of all the things you can say, I can see that your family is number one to you and you genuinely want a better place for your family in this country. I don't think you want to go anywhere, right?
No, I don't. No, I had this, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, just like, with all your life experience, talk to the person out there that's struggling and what advice would you give them? Because
just quickly, I had a conversation with a couple of friends yesterday, and like I said, they were getting ready to set up banking in Dubai. One's already been over there, set everything up. The other one's looking at other options, and they were talking to me about it. And they said, they're coming for you. At some point, they're going to start coming for you, and the attacks will come from everywhere. And it might not be the attacks that you think they're coming, but when you do your tax, that's when they come for you. They'll try to bury you that way. They'll try to do this. And they said, have you thought about options? And I said, no, I'm not leaving Australia. From a personal point of view, they can throw me in prison and I'll sit in prison here. I'm not leaving Australia. I'm not going to uproot my family and take them out when we have all of our family around us in Adelaide. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather fight and die on this land than go live on some foreign land. It's just not going to happen. But then going to the point there of like for every Australian, well, firstly, you got to get involved in your communities, right? You got to have these conversations. Do you know why the left own the Liberal Party, the moderates? Because they care. I went and did a speech.
This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple months ago on the Adelaide Hills, right? And look, long story short, I've told it a bunch of times, but at the end of it, I got a 5-minute standing ovation from 90% of the crowd, and they were the Conservatives in the Liberal Party. The 10% sat there and didn't clap. So the 10% are controlling the 90% because the 10% show up. They're the ones that care. They're the ones that go to the meetings. Yeah, the 90% in the Conservative Party, they're like, oh yeah, it'll be all right. But they're being controlled by the 10%. So if you want to make change, anyone, anywhere, you got to make change with yourself first. You have to have conversations. You got to get involved in your local communities, in your local schools. You got to make sure as a parent that you're walking in there and being, what are you doing teaching my kid this shit? That sort of stuff. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of the issues are with our education system. They are controlled from a federal level and they're being pushed down from that. They need to be passed back to the state levels so they can have consultation with the kids. They can have parents, teachers, everyone, community. What are we teaching these kids? Because if we let it be controlled from a system that is so high up above and they're pushing down this weird stuff onto our children and we don't even know what it is, it's like we need to get involved. People need to get involved. People need to do what I do, Put your voice out there. Voice your opinion. Say what you think. Typing stuff behind, like keyboard warriors and stuff. It's not going to work. That's why next year I'm doing a speaking event to go out and speak to people all across the country, because we need to enact some type of change here. We can't just continuously sit around and say, "Oh, this is screwed."